Google search monopoly is slowly slipping away. YouTube is apparently desperate for shorts content, and Elon Musk is somehow making X more money when they bring in less revenue. Also, some TikTok and Meta AI updates. This is the Act 18 show. Hey, I'm Jason, faith-based entrepreneur and full-time digital nomad, coming to you from Tokyo, Japan, in the smallest Airbnb I've ever stayed in, 13 square meters. So timestamps and sources below, along with a link to today's sponsor, our Act RevONE Canvas, which I'll get more to later. Now, first up, we have Google, and for the first time since 2015, apparently their search dominance has dropped below 90% to 89.7. Now, why is this essentially 0.3% difference a big deal? Well, it's showing that we are looking at a world where Google is going to slowly, and I mean ever so slowly, lose its dominance. Now, this is important mostly if you make any sort of written long-form content, aka blogging, or you rely on search rankings. And this is a big deal because Google is about to drop even more because, number one, because they lost their antitrust lawsuit, that means they can't pay Firefox and Apple to be the default search engines anymore, which means that's going to lose them a ton of, quite a bit of traffic. More on the Apple side, I don't think their traffic loss from Firefox is going to be a big deal. And then number two, apparently they're going to be forced to sell Chrome, which is a big deal because Chrome allows them to collect so much sweet data for their ads platform, right? And tracking everything that we do, even when we've asked them not to. But that's a whole nother lawsuit and a whole nother issue. But I'm just sharing this because it's really showing how we're shifting towards a very different world when it comes to how people go and find content. Reddit has also come out with their own data showing that people don't even trust the search results inside of Google anymore because of all of those spam SEO sites. So long story short, probably not the best time to start making long-form written content. But of course, I know Neil Patel and some other SEO experts are still screaming that SEO is working really well. But all the data is telling us that if you haven't already started that strategy, probably not a good thing to focus on. But something that you probably should focus on and something that is being helpful is short-form content that continues to grow. Now, this is a really funny story because apparently YouTube has partnered with this software called Repurpose.io, not an endorsement of them, I never use them, to essentially automatically take any short form content from Instagram and TikTok and automatically post it to YouTube Shorts. So there are two things I think going on here. Number one, I think YouTube just wants all of the content it can get, irrespective of where it's coming from. And then number two, obviously, people aren't posting enough to YouTube Shorts. However their data is looking, the only reason I see YouTube doing this is essentially because they're finding that the really good short-form creators, those are creators who make short-form first content, not just the rest of us who cut up our long-form and create shorts because we think we have to, right? Despite the data telling us that it really isn't working too well. I think YouTube just wants those shorts first creators, those short form content creators who are really focused on Instagram and TikTok to essentially just be able to click a button and have it go over to YouTube Shorts as well. And so I think this is just another step, YouTube trying to dominate everything video, and clearly Shorts are falling behind. Now, as a content creator myself, we've posted a lot of shorts and we've spent over 10K in producing and creating and testing shorts, and they just simply have not delivered. So if you have long form content and you have a video editor or you have someone else doing your editing who can help cut it up for you, I think it's worthwhile, but I still don't think it's worth your personal time going and creating YouTube Shorts. But if you're already creating content for those other platforms, this is pretty cool. And I guess it's also YouTube low-key saying, hey, we don't care where the shorts came from as long as they're eventually posted to us. I definitely know that Instagram and TikTok do not like this particular change because obviously they're competitors. But I guess at this point, YouTube just doesn't care. Now, speaking of Instagram, wanted to quickly show you this diagram, and actually realizing on the screen here, it's actually really hard to read. This little diagram showing how the IG content algorithm works. So essentially, according to this marketing account, when you post to Instagram, this is very similar to other platforms as well. It's shown to about 20% of your followers. And then if it gets good signals, it's shown to more people. And if it gets more good signals, then it's shown to more people, and finally it goes out to a broader audience. And this is very similar to how we understand the YouTube algorithm working as well, where they essentially test it with kind of your top 20 audience or 20% of your audience or followers, and then it kind of just keeps expanding from there on and on and on until essentially you cap out, right? So the more niche your content, the less views that or engagement you're going to get. Now, something that's interesting with Instagram, of course, is you want broader reach, right? You want broader style content, whereas on YouTube, being small and really focused is actually a good thing because you have long-term search ranking capabilities where you don't really have that on other platforms. And then Social Media Today had this quick roundup of engaging hooks for Instagram Reels. So I just thought that would be fun to include here as well. You can always pause if you're watching the video version for some ideas. That brings us into today's sponsor, our RevONE Canvas. This is an elegant one-page business plan to help you get up and running with your traffic and conversion strategy for 2025 and beyond. And it has a ton of AI prompts integrated so you can tap into the power of AI to essentially turn it into your business analysts and strategists to help you come up with a solid plan. So you can learn more by checking that out in the link below. Now, I almost didn't include this one, but hey, we're all content creators and entrepreneurs, and I thought this was just a good lesson in if you're looking for more profit, you don't necessarily have to make more revenue. So this is a quick breakdown of the pre-Elon taking over Twitter/X and post. Now you can see the ad revenue backlash was significant and real. I mean, you're going from 500 million in revenue in 2021 down to just 2.7 million or 100 million. I think this is 100 million revenue in 2024. So needless to say, Twitter/X is making a whole lot less more gross. So this is money coming in. But what most of those headlines don't talk about is apparently when you're looking at closer to net revenue, this is earnings before interest and taxes, you can see that even though they're taking in less money, they're actually keeping more of it. So essentially their net profits have gone up. Of course, this doesn't include the interest, right? Because there was a lot of debt taken out either against Elon or X to purchase Twitter in the first place. So I'd imagine this number doesn't look as good when you add that back in. But it is a good reminder to just check your expenses, right? Maybe you're paying for softwares and stuff that you don't need to. And with tax season literally right around the corner, again, if you're in the US, March 15th is the filing date for your LLCs or C Corps or whatever, not legal or tax advice, obviously. It's a good time to just go through your expenses and go, oh, maybe I don't need that subscription, and you can just keep more money in your pocket. I know every year, even though I try and stay on top of things, I always find things that I thought I had canceled. And on the subject of X, when I was doing some research, I just came across this screenshot of someone showing how much they were making. So if you're ever curious how much X creators are making, I'll try and include screenshots here or there. But for over a 7-day period, this account got 723,000 impressions, and that came out to $40 for 2 weeks. So if we kind of do the math here real quick, that's about 1.4 million impressions gets you $40. I can tell you that YouTube pays a whole lot better for a whole lot less. So if you're still kind of on the fence, like, should I do X or should I focus more on YouTube? I mean, just in terms of a payout perspective, YouTube is going to get you way more. And that's primarily also why we still treat X as a syndication or amplification platform. So we take our long form content or even some of my broadcast emails and we repurpose them for X content. So as excited as I was for X as a kind of revenue generating platform, with the changes Elon has made, you can see that he's making more money. But if you're a small creator, you're definitely not going to make all of that much. Now, a quick update here on Gronk. Apparently, Gronk is going to be launching its own independent app, which unfortunately probably means they're going to try and ask for more money for it on top of whatever you're already paying if you're paying an X subscription. Now you can pre-register for it. Apparently there's some benefit to pre-registering. I don't know. You can see that I just registered for it real quick. But right now it's available in Australia, Canada, India, Saudi Arabia, and the Philippines. And again, this is going to be based upon the location that your app store is registered, not necessarily where you physically are. So even though I might be visiting one of these countries, remember that your app store is pretty much locked to whatever country you purchased it in. You can change that country, but you can only make that change once a year. And as someone who travels a lot, it is really, really frustrating to not be able to use local apps simply because of where I purchased my phone. But I digress. We will give you some more updates when we finally get access to this one to see if it's even worth the upgrade compared to the other AIs out there. Now, another big AI update here is from Meta, and it comes to layoffs. So I like how all of these CEOs of AI companies keep telling us, don't worry, you're not going to lose your job. You're not going to lose your job. Hey, fire 5% of our workforce. Hey, it's totally fine. AI is going to augment everything. Hey, 20% of our code is written by AI now. So I think this is interesting that even with the DeepSeek models and Alibaba's model, and then there was another one that came out of China recently. So even with all these open source models that keep coming out that are apparently really good, we still have big companies like Meta spending hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, developing their own AI. And so I think this is a trend that's going to continue. And just remember that AI I don't see it as a emerging technology anymore. It is a utility, and it's just getting better. So I think a good goal for 2025 would be to have 5 to 10%, I'd say 20% actually, of your day-to-day inside of one of these AI tools. Now, does it matter which one? Not really, because every other month there's a better version, there's a better one. So as long as you're focused on making your prompts better, augmenting your workflow, not replacing your workflow, but augmenting whatever you do, writing, brainstorming, then I think you're going to be able to at least stay on the curve, if not ahead of the curve, when it comes to whatever you do in your niche or industry. So I understand that getting started with AI is really annoying because the answers, they stink. They stink, right? Anyone who tells you, oh yeah, it's just you're doing your prompt wrong. Like, no, it's not. AI really stinks at learning your voice, learning what you want. But after a couple of weeks or months of working with one model, you're going to start to be able to learn how to get the responses that you need, because we're all different and unique. AI, not so different and unique. So anyway, I included that story just so I could have that little anecdote, because I've had a couple conversations recently that really showed that a lot of people aren't taking it as seriously as they should. And it's just because of that learning curve for AI and you learning how to interact with it so you can actually get what you want and get your work done a whole lot faster. And speaking of AI, Meta has also announced that they're going to have more AI when it comes to their ad platforms. And while I'm a huge advocate of using AI across all of your workflows, please don't use AI when it comes to your advertising. That's all I'm going to say. Like, letting AI take over the entire process is not a good idea, especially with platforms like Meta, where their reporting is always skewed. I've yet to see a Facebook ads account where Meta is accurately reporting the number of clicks, conversions, or sales. So while I think it's cool, Meta is going to start labeling everything. Pretty much anytime you use AI with Meta's platform, they're going to label your ad AI, which isn't going to help your ad. And the data is skewed anyway, with or without AI. So use AI when it comes to coming up with your creative or whatnot, but not when it comes to setting up your campaigns. Don't flip that switch. Now, I just wanted to quickly wrap up with, if you still want to use TikTok and you're in the States and you have an Android device, you can actually download it directly from this site. So you can just search TikTok sideloading. And essentially what this means is, instead of downloading it through the App Store, you can just download it directly onto your Android device. And of course, Apple does not allow that, so you can't do that with Apple. You're still stuck using the website. But at least there's an Android version and a light version as well, if you still want to access the platform. And even if you're not creating content for it, I find it a positive sign that at least it can be downloaded and as a side loading. Of course, TikTok is still producing content saying, hey, we're doing everything we can to essentially protect user data. And apparently the vice president now has been put in charge of figuring out a TikTok deal. So time will tell. Thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you got some value out of this episode. Comment below with any of your questions or feedback on the new format. And until the next, keep building the business you love.